Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea, welcome back to another high-level best of 3. Today we have a very special one, as it's two very special players here. In the top left spawning as our blue Protoss player, playing for Team Matcherino, it is Astrea. And in the bottom right, recently been acquired by Team Talon, or Talon Esports. It's Dark, of course, switching from DKZ over to Talon, which is a, I believe it's a Valorant team, or it's a team that at least has multiple games under their wings. We're gonna see what this match brings us. This is a match that got recommended to me multiple times, which is rare to happen. Usually I'll have one guy going, hey, I love Game of Classic, please cast Classic for the rest of your life. But this one I saw multiple people mentioning as a phenomenal series, as well as the replay pack provider saying that this is a special one. So I'm curious. Astrea versus Dark. Astrea really is one of these players that is different, kind of weirdly creative, while still understanding what the game is about. I feel very often when people look at someone, like some of these very cheesy players, or very like non-standard players, they're not the highest level caliber player. And I think Astrea really is, I think he's like a top 20, top 25 player. Just completely has his own style and kind of makes it work, and little tricks in there. Just the way he views the game is extremely different from how everyone else views the game. And we're seeing that here as well. He's opening up with a Nexus core single gas opener, which can mean a couple of things. But this probe to me indicates a relatively fast, an insanely fast third. Painfully fast, almost. Warp Gate plus Stalker as an opener. So it's going to be a single gas triple base. A single gas triple base here coming out of Astrea. And I'm real curious how this is going to work out. Because he's not going to be capable of throwing down any attack. He's going to be capable of denying scouting. Not of killing this Overlord. This Overlord is gonna make it back home to this little pillar. So starts his next Overlord. Starts two Overlords at the same time, alright. Don't dig it, but I don't hate it either. So Nexus goes down. 2 minutes and what is that? 50 seconds in or so. It's not insanely fast. It's not insanely slow either. It's very doable. Sentry as a follow-up. Sentry as a follow-up. Second gateway coming in. This is an interesting one. Now we're talking. So I guess the sentry is going to be for some type of scouting and for a little bit of safety. The extra gateways can only really be for, well, either safety or aggression. Really, so it can be for two things. I'm just very curious what the plan is going to be. Do we have speed yet is my question. No, there's no link speed. So Dark has kind of understood somewhat what is going on. Hasn't scouted anything, right? It didn't get a scout on that third base. Really curious what the follow-up is going to be. This is a build that you legitimately never see. Just never. There are no sentry openers. Everyone plays either a fast glaive timing attack, some type of robo all-in, or you're going to be looking at Stargate, which is going to just be the case majority of the time. Now, if this link can get denied, that would be a pretty big deal. Astrea is going to fill at that. I wasn't aware that the link was moving across. That is a confusing scout here, if you're Dark. And Dark usually is a player that wants to do aggressive things. He was already adding in a second gas. He's getting a Roach Warren. And he's getting 3 more Overlords. But this is I mean, he's all-inning, 100%. This feels like somewhat of a flawed plan. Astrea has scouted this as well, has seen double gases, so knows that something weird is going on right now. Gate count still only at 3, but can continuously produce Stalkers. As long as he keeps this third base alive with a somewhat decent worker count, he's going to be just fine. We have more and more Stalkers on the way. We have a battery being added in, battery on the high ground, second battery on the high ground. This is some neat positioning here coming out of our American Protoss player. The first few Ravagers are now morphing on the other side of the map as well. We're gonna have, legit like 60 workers to 38. So A 22 worker advantage. As Blink is about to finish. 2 more gates coming in here as well. I mean, Astrea just in a phenomenal spot here, that's for sure. Don't know a lot about StarCraft, but I do know that. As long as he doesn't straight up die, I think he's going to hold. He's going to be in a great spot. Blink not done yet though, that is bad. Probes being pulled off the line, I think that is an intelligent call here. As the battery on the low ground is going to be targeted down. Battery on the high ground perhaps should start as a super battery right now. And that's indeed what it's going to do. Lots of workers will end up falling though. That's the first 12 going down there. 22 more links on the way. This base perhaps in some trouble. Blink about 10-15 seconds away from finishing up, as 2 more Ravagers are going to get morphed in. The batteries on the high ground doing God's work cannot be targeted down here by the Ravager Link. No Biles can hit that. There's no Overlord vision. Link's back up onto the high ground with everything. That's potentially going to expose his low ground a little bit though. Needs to be careful about that. Is he going to walk back down? He's going to blink back down. It's going to be a blink. As 17 workers so far have fallen, 44 to 38. Dark is going to return back home, keeps his Ravagers alive. But how alive is the dream of coming back into this game? I'm not so sure about it. Now, there are no oracles. There are no... I'm just not so sure. I'm looking at this game, and usually a situation like this, in my mind, the Protoss is very far ahead. But there are no upgrades for either player. There's no follow-up tech for either player. Just now are we getting a Lair and an Evo. Like, how far is Astrea really ahead here? He needs some scouting information before he can easily move on the map. He has the ability with that hallucination from the sentry. That's something he'll need to do. +1 now starts for Dark. As he adds in a couple more workers, is going to surpass his opponent. Who's adding in a robotics facility still on 3 gases. Note, no forge. As a pylon here is going to get proxy. This is another one of these things that is just really rare to see. It's not necessarily bad, but it just carries quite a bit of risk. Pylon plus gateway on the map for quicker warp-ins, which I assume that's what it's going to be. I mean, it could also be a proxy Dark Shrine, but that would be truly insane. This Phoenix is going to start flying a little bit across the map. Yeah, so it's going to be a standard gateway proxy here. Potentially trying to cancel that forward base. As Astrea is really committing quite hard. Oh my god, so many Stalkers. 30 Stalkers, 4 Zealots. What's a good angle to engage here though? Like, where are you gonna go? Don't have any way to deny creep quite yet. Observer now is on the way. Here come a bunch of links starting to move forward. Biles as well trying to hit these Stalkers. Astrea does get the dodge. I almost feel like that a good play here would be to try to take out these rocks and then kind of move downstairs and take it from there, because this angle is just not optimal here for Astrea whatsoever. Another warp-in on the left. This probe has scouted the base. Zealot's coming in with a flank that is kind of weird. First of all, because they're just going to straight up die, and second, because it reveals that warping position. Astrea is going to break through this area, and with the observer there is going to allow himself to clear a couple of creep tumors. Bailing Nest plus Infestation Pit on the way as well. Also attacking the Hive at some point. Stalker count here, phenomenal. 34. Roach speed is about to finish up. That's definitely going to help out. I think the Observer just died. Flying into an Overseer Queen setup. Files are connecting a bit too much here for my liking. As this base still might just end up falling. 36 workers. Or sorry, 36 workers. What did I say? 36 Stalkers. To, well, almost nothing here on the other side. Fort base coming down as well for Astrea, who's going to take the base lead. And now gets down a fort. This has to be one of the latest forges that I've seen in a long time in this matchup. 7 gateways, no forge, yet 4 base. His mineral income is good. He's going to continue pushing in as Dark is trying to push this back. We don't have charge on the way as 3 infestors now get produced. At Dark, there is a decent chance that he actually just survives, as his army supply is pretty decent. We're still fighting on creep here, with the next observer now coming in. At least that creep part is going to stop. Can we get a couple of blink backs? Yeah, we can. Just gonna kind of leapfrog forward here with gateways as well as quicker reinforcement. Prism is gonna be added in. Still no charge, as a Stalker does get taken out. Overall resources lost 5k to 6.1. Big Fungal is going to connect with literally every single Stalker. Holy cow. That was a lot of Stalkers going down there all at once. That jump in resources lost was huge. Another Big Fungal is going to connect. And this fight is kind of turning sour here for Australia. Oh no. It looked so good, but now it really doesn't anymore. Creep is practically non-existent on the map. There is a fort base, so eco is going to be better here for Australia. This is a weird game, because usually you look... Oh. One more fungal. No. Yes. That's a big fungal once again. That's a lot of units. Resources lost continuing to go in favor here of Dark. But yeah, you look at this army and think to yourself, this isn't super strong, but it's also not super weak, right? There's a lot of Ravagers, which if they get connected to by well-upgraded Zealots, that's an issue, but... such a thing as well-upgraded Zealots simply does not exist at the moment. Because we don't have charge, we don't have +1. +2 is about to finish up as well, so we have Hive on the way, so Adrenal Glands is going to put in some serious work. Now, Australia still has the eco lead, which is big, has a prism on the map, which is real nice. And really, Dark has a terrible, terrible setup to ever enter into a late game, but I've seen worse setups for Dark going into a late game and getting there. And then executing that late game successfully. That's something we need to keep in mind. As Disruptors now being transitioned into. I kind of understand that. I kind of like it even. The thing about Disruptors is that they often don't deal so well with Ling Bane. Which that is definitely the direction that Dark is heading to. But they deal relatively well with Ravagers. And the Ravager count also is very high. So we need some type... there needs to be something that can deal with the Ling Bane before that gets too high. Like if you're fighting against 25 Banes with an army like this, you're simply not going to win. As Dark here attempts to attack, and I think the word attempt here is correct. I don't think this is very viable. This is actually kind of scary. The moment charge finishes, he really needs to piss off. He has no business being there. So 5th base gets thrown down. This prism attempted going in there was stopped by the Queen. I mean, this army by itself on the map is kind of scary. Because the moment that Zealots start touching these Ravagers are going to start just dying instantly. Ultralisk Cavern is well on the way here. There's going to be an Ultra transition. And Dark right now is not rich enough to really replace these Ravagers at a high pace. Disruptor shot going to be sending forward. It's not going to hit anything. Second Purification Nova also misses. This might embolden Dark a little bit to see if he can get some damage done. He's going to try to get a snipe here. Going to get a snipe on one Disruptor. No, he's not. Yeah, the third Disruptor there showing up. Definitely pushing those Ravagers back down. Just by its sheer presence is at the same time. Baneling's taking out so many workers. All at once. 50 workers. To 74. And here we go with a Zealot warping in towards the main base. Ultras aren't out yet, so taking care of those is going to suck. 13 drones have fallen. There's more workers going down here in the main. Feels like Australia is ready to commit to something. I'm not sure if Dark is yet. They've only been dating so shortly. It's a bit too soon here. It's really the time to meet the parents already. Australia says yes. Dark is not so sure. It's not wanting to engage quite yet. 15 drones go down, loses a base. But overall, that trade was definitely positive for Dark, as these Disruptors perhaps in a bit of trouble. We see 1 getting sniped, we see 2 getting sniped, and number 3 inevitably to fall as well. As maybe a Purification Nova will go down. No, it won't. Still 5 bases here for Australia, pumping out workers. Neural Parasite now on the way. Immortals being produced. There's 2 Robos, 1 Disruptor. Zealot's now moving forward. Probably gonna try to get a kill here on this hatchery, while simultaneously taking out 1 or 2 drones. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna get that. The high ground Queens. Oh. The aristocracy from their balconies, just transfusing the plebeian hatch. You love to see it. The rich helping the poor. Because that high ground is something else. So now we're gonna see a couple of injects going down as well. 70 workers though, all of a sudden here for Australia to just 65. Ultras popping in, there's no anabolic synthesis yet. I don't think so. These guys look slow to me. Yeah, these guys look very, very slow to me. Chitin is plating on the way as the first upgrade. Is this Ultra's gonna get split off? And these Stalkers are gonna blink forward. I wonder if he saw that Ultra, bro. It's one of the few times I've seen Ultras burrow. Oh, and definitely the only time I've seen it being successful. Gateway here still alive, by the way. This guy has been up for quite a while. Okay, did end up getting spotted. 7 workers have gone down, and the 5th base has been killed. Both players on 4 bases again. This has been a wonderful game. But all good things must come to an end. Not sure if the end is now. This is a really weird attack. This is not going to be the end over here. You see a lot of links popping in this area. 2 Archons, so I feel like that should be enough. Ultra can definitely help out. Links actually just continue fighting, with Adrenal Glands having a pretty decent fight against this Archon. High Ground Battery still helping out as well, as Astrea here is going to be losing quite a bit of supply. Blinks in forward. Dark also still needs to be careful, though. The problem for Astrea, a serious problem here for Astrea, is the fact that the moment he moves out, these bases are so, well, just not well secured. There's not a lot of cannons, there are no walls, you have no ability to put like 1 or 2 Templar there. That means that pure Ling run-bys are going to be dealing extremely well with these, with the only mining bases still remaining. And it does start to feel that Astrea kind of is heading the direction of having to kill his opponent with 1 desperate push attempt. Because it doesn't feel like he can go and do something like expanding towards the 5th. And as I say that, of course, a probe is moving towards that 5th. That doesn't sound very realistic to me anymore at this point. Dark just has very good control of the map, has a very powerful army. I just don't see a 5th base as an extremely realistic option, as a couple of Banelings do end up burrowing in both bases. Yeah, just moving towards that 5th is going to be hell. Another thing that is important to note here, by the way, is that the Baneling count is extremely low and has been extremely low this entire game. And I think that's a huge blunder here by Dark, as this army is going to consist of a lot of Stalkers, quite a few Zealots. I think getting a higher number of Banelings here would be anything but a mistake. Ooh, it's a good force field, by the way. That was a really nice force field. This is an interesting engagement because there's not that many links. If these infestors don't actually get good neurals, this could be potentially very bad. Baneling count still fairly low. Disruptor just zoning a lot of these units away. That was all the Banelings gone here. Here come the neurals. Let's see if they're going to be capable of doing something. Purification Nova needs to hit on top of all of these infestors. Gonna get 2 of them, as the Immortals largely stay alive. Blink forward to snipe down some of these infestors in the back. Immortal count still very high. Biles are gonna connect with a bunch of these Immortals. We still have 4 around, though. What is the remax here for Dark? It's going to be Links, couple more Ultras. Archon count not necessarily huge, but the Link count still is there. And I'd love for this Ling attack just to be a run-by towards that fort. A run-by towards the fort. Dark can give up his 6th base temporarily. Does not need to fight here. Can, of course, delay by throwing some Biles. Is going to deal quite some damage on one of these Immortals. And taking out a single Immortal here is going to be a pretty big deal, because Ultras are still being produced. This base is toasted. A couple of Links are being sent in towards the Natural as well. These probes are going to die, and that's going to put more and more pressure here on Astrea to continue pushing in at a very rapid pace. And that's a pace that I'm not quite sure he can keep up. There's an interesting blink forward. Archon's too far in the back. Links now coming in with a flank. Means that these Disruptors need to shoot their shot. They're not going to connect with anything as Immortals start to fall. I do believe that Dark has managed to secure the victory here, with 4 more Ultras on the way, with the Link still having to come back home, and with serious mining on Dark's side. Astrea taps out, and Dark takes game number 1. In our second game, we have already a very odd opener coming out of Astrea, as it is going to be a Nexus first double gate. Is this a full wall? I'm not sure what this wall is. Does this feel full? No, there's definitely a hole here. Okay, now this is a very interesting wall, one that I haven't quite seen before. And at the same time, we're gonna have a proxy pylon. So we're opening with a straight Nexus into a proxy pylon. He didn't scout whether the first base taken was this gold. I think Astrea's just assuming that for now. I really wonder what the plan is. Well, it's double adept Chronos. That's the start of the plan. I think that's a pretty decent start for a plan. What is this gonna be? Is this gonna be a proxy Stargate? It is going to be a proxy start. Okay. So this is an okay move, no matter where the natural is located. So if this wasn't at the gold, this still would be fine. As Australia's going to be moving towards, well, the middle for now. It's going to keep a probe at home to potentially full wall this. As a stalker gets produced behind this, it's going to, well, temporarily full wall this with a battery. As he finds this base, it's going to shade through rather than shading away. It's going to get, well, I was going to say going to get a couple of kills, but now I'm not so sure. It's going to get one. It's way less than I figured he was going to get at this point. Metabolic boost is about to finish up as Australia's going to shade in another time. This almost feels too risky. This does feel very risky. He's going to, well, tuck his adepts in for now in a safe location. The first Oracle starts supply block. Okay, unsupply blocks himself right at the moment. It should be a recall. It's not going to be a recall here. It's going to lose probably both of these adepts. Yep, there we go. Both adepts will end up falling without dealing any serious damage. This Oracle's going to come as a surprise. There's no second queen here yet, is there? No, okay, yeah, I was thinking. That makes no sense. There is a second queen here. There's a proxy gateway. Okay. Is he gonna play Tempest from here? Like proxy? No, then we'd have to see a fleet beacon already at that point. That actually would not be such a terrible plan, by the way. Proxy Oracle, and if you're this close to a base, might as well try some Tempest. Get your third Nexus over here. Then we're talking, boys. Oracle flies in as no queens in position except this one. And one queen is simply not enough. Target fire on the drones has not been perfect. 7 drones will end up falling anyway. 42 workers to 30. As we actually have another roach all in. I didn't even realize that. This is ridiculous. Well, I'm not sure if this is ridiculous. It is just not going to work out at all. Because currently Australia doesn't even have a third base yet. We have a proxy gateway still active as well. So Oracle is going to fly in. It's going to get a couple of extra kills. This roach attack is not going to be an attack. It's going to be a defense, if anything. Void Ray gets constructed here. Probe safely stuck in the middle. Clowns to the left of him. Zerglings on the right. There he is, right next to the pylon. It's going to lose all of these buildings. Gateway never really providing anything of value. Roach is moving across the map. Third base goes down 5 minutes and 30 seconds into this game. 46 workers still to 39. Felt like this start went so well for Australia, but it felt like there was no end goal here. You know, it looked real cool, but then what was he building towards? It doesn't really feel like it was anything. He never really finished. It doesn't feel like a finished project to me. You know, he has some cool ideas, but why did we have the gateway there? Like, what was the overall? I don't know. Like, usually you use some tricks to serve a bigger plan. And so far the bigger plan seems to be to get a really late third base without any serious pressure. Like, this is... I mean, this is kind of serious pressure, but at the same time, this is without blink, this is without charge, and we're hitting at a timing that is kind of late. It doesn't feel like this timing is good at all. This Stalker's gonna get taken out at a high pace. We have a Robobay on the way, we have a Forge on the way, we have wait, it's the second robotics then. I was like, wait, we already have a Robobay. But it must mean we already have a robotics facility around here somewhere, and indeed we do. That observer chilling by itself in the natural with a battery. Here comes the Oracle. Cheeky little revelation. You'll love to see it. Guy's gonna go for some scouting. Ooh, second Evo? Absolutely no clue what this is gonna be for. Dark is the only player that looks at his situation, sees he's down 10 work, and is like, you know what would really help me here? More upgrades for the 5 units that I currently have. I mean, I like it. This is a wild play. Usually you see Zergs be afraid to throw down a second Evo even if they have 85 drones. Like, not sure if I can afford it. Dark looks at his banks. He's like a lollipop. A dusty old coin. And like a pen that doesn't work anymore. Yeah, second Evo is what I need. I remember back in the day when I was in high school, I would always think myself a massive engineer whenever I would open up one of these pens and then put it back together, you know? Like sometimes I'm not sure what you call these pens. Are they just called ballpoint pens? Just like these pens that you always get as like a goodie. You go to like some convention, you go to like the 2024, the housewife convention or something. Then every stand will give you like one of them pens, you know? You write with it three times and it stops working, but the logo of the company is on it. These pens, you can take them apart and there's like a little spring in there, and very often that one wouldn't work anymore. So you can just replace it with like a different one from another pen that, you know, might be, doesn't have ink anymore. God. Had so much potential as an engineer. I was doing that already when I was 15. Pretty early for my age, if you ask me. Deconstructing, reverse engineering. The world truly missed out. But then StarCraft came out and my passions changed. Rather than reconstructing pens consisting of 3 parts, I became a StarCraft professional. We would have been living on Mars already otherwise. The amount of time that I've invested in StarCraft, we could have had proper space travel. Ooh, good force field, actually. Phenomenal force fields. Purification Nova, not really here to finish it off. Second one is also small. Neither of these shots by themselves were great, but both of them together, I mean, they did get a decent chunk of units there. As we're actually getting some okay fighting here out of Australia. Keeps his fort base alive as well. Is down in workers. The Baneling run by without speed here is going to potentially connect with a bunch of workers. There's nothing really here to stop it. As these disruptors still just hanging around. Not doing very much. It's 150 supply to 144. At these Banes, well, they're gonna get decent connections. This once again feels fairly all in here out of Australia. Needs to deal some serious damage. I'm not sure if that's even gonna be possible. Zealot's now charging in forward. Archon's gonna get taken out. Purification Nova gets a hit on 2 roaches. Next one gets a hit on 2 roaches. Next one gets a hit on 3 roaches. And that one kills nothing. But still, that's quite a few roaches that just went down. Prism now on the way. We have 1 more Purification Nova available. Force Field's actually good at shielding these roaches and queens from running down and just starting to absolutely destroy them disruptors. So I'm kind of happy with how Australia played this. This was real nice control. Actually neat control out of him. Oops! Another roach goes down. Disruptor count remains very, very high. And that's one of these things that's very important as well. If you lose that disruptor count, this army is balls. But with the disruptors, I don't know, this, you know, it's dangerous. You look at that army, think to yourself that, you know, they could do something. You know what I'd love to see here? Freaking prism speed. This is something I feel like is just underutilized. People just don't build prism speed anymore these days. You know, it's a thing of the past. I feel like if you have the Robo Bay, you're not really building Colossus, you don't need thermal lens. Yeah, some prism speed, man. Get it going. Australia managed to probe up real quick, by the way, up to 79. Feels like just a second ago we were at 65. Banelings here being morphed as we have the Baneling speed at this point. Yeah, we definitely do. Prism on the far right is going to probably just cancel this base. I can't imagine that Dark is going to defend this successfully as it's just started to build. Okay, no, Australia, yeah, okay, yeah. You just warp in 4 zealots here and you take it out. Yeah. Yeah, of course. No, of course not. A terrible call there, Karen. Should become an engineer. Viper on the way here as the first hive unit. That's interesting. The fact that there are 30 roaches is not just interesting, but potentially terrible. Oh no. This army split is actually quite bad here for Australia. Needs to recall. I'm gonna lose all these Archons. Yeah. Army splits are really nice if you're fighting against Banelings. Dark here is playing without Banelings. No one really knows why he's playing without Banelings. But it is without Banelings, nonetheless. Like, if you're just straight up fighting with Archon, Zealot, Disruptor against Ling Roach, you're gonna destroy that army so quick, like you won't believe it. You're gonna destroy that army. It's such a high pace. It's insane. Ling run by here with the adrenal glands is gonna be a little bit harder to clean up than just warping in 2 zealots. You're probably gonna need to warp in 4, maybe even 5. We have a split of lots of workers here going down. We see a potential chase coming in as well. I think Australia's kind of has had it with this setup. He's just gonna start moving in now with his main army. Does he have a prism with it? No, he still has that prism on the far right though. I think actually moving towards the far right to try and start fighting there, it's not that bad of a call either. +3 as well as shield weapon upgrades being researched. Without Banelings, this is just going to be an impossible mission. The Baneling count currently is at 22. I think that number needs to go up. 22 is just a little bit on the low end of the Baneling count. Couple will end up falling to disruptor shots as well. As Australia with a Zealot run by towards the right, a Zealot run by towards the left, is going to kill at least 2 bases. Prism still in between as well. Dark is sending the Viper over. Is probably gonna get the kill with the Abduct. But these Zealots are being annoying. At the same time, we have the Disruptors pushing in for it. That's a lot of... Oof. A lot of Banes almost going down there against that Disruptor shot. Zealots now hitting this base. This is a bad attack here. Yeah, no, this is obviously not it. You were putting pressure on that exact angle. The entire army was here. Going for the run by there is kind of nonsensical. Do these roads have any upgrades? They have the... Oh my god, wait, they have +3. I didn't even realize that. +3 on the roads is actually kind of a big deal. Double Evo paying off big time here. As these 2 Immortals, I'm not so sure if they're going to be enough. And losing 2 Immortals here would really suck. He's trying to kite this back. Doesn't have a Zealot Warp in available right now. It's going to appear in the back. It's going to be just a bit too late though. As this Immortal is going to get targeted down here as well. Good burrow control. 14-15 workers going down once more. Abduct gets hit on that Archon. Not the quickest kill. As the Disruptor tries to go for a Purification Nova. And this game, once again, starting to heavily lean into favor of our Korean Zerg player, who's been playing some phenomenal StarCraft 2 today. Different, because he needs to respond to whatever his opponent does. But yet very good nonetheless. Just different than the type of stuff that we're used to. Oh. Here we go. Immortals pushing on forward. Couple of Lings coming in. Templar not quite happy to be here. Can't imagine at least. It's gonna morph 1 into an Archon. +3 Templar though. That's 450 gas. Lings are gonna get taken out by the remaining Archons over there. This was an interesting recall. He's gonna clean this up. He's gonna lose perhaps an Archon still. No. Just ends up losing a single Immortal. That could have gone much, much worse for Australia, who is back up again to 73 workers. He's the king of just rebuilding workers, it feels like, no? Has lost 50 workers this game already. Once again, off of a very odd start. A successful start, though. These roaches now moving in. I almost feel like tunneling claws would be worth it. I know Zergs don't think so, but I think in the late game, getting some tunneling claws, a couple of roaches, that can be super annoying, man. If you don't have cannons everywhere, it's like it's a high-paced game already. Uh-oh. Link's gonna take out not just the base, but also 2 Immortals and an Archon. And neither of those things is nice to lose, but losing units when you're already not mining that much, it does kind of suck. Is that shield weapons level 2? Yeah, shield weapons level 2 coming in. No armor upgrades quite yet here for Australia. As Ultra Cavalry now gets thrown down. Phenomenal play, by the way, out of Dark. Just very primitive units. I think this is some of my favorite StarCraft 2. Is when, I mention this very often, is when the late game doesn't have late game units. I think late game units are less fun than early or mid game units. Like if you're just seeing kind of like a guy just run around with these primitive units and trying his best not to fight, I think that is so cool. That utilizing the speed, utilizing the fact that you can hit multiple areas at once, and if you see, hey, there's too much here, you just run away. And I think if you're fighting against such a Ling-heavy army, I really do believe that what Australia is doing here is correct. Like, you need to get into Storm. Storm eats Lings alive. Archons are good against Lings, don't get me wrong, but you still need to have a lot of Archons. Well, if you have 2 Templar and the other dude has 500 Lings, and they don't pay attention for a second, or even if they do, they're just gonna lose high numbers of links, like guaranteed. And Storm is also just a necessity against Banes. So this is actually a very scary army here that Dark will still need to deal with. Now these Immortals being called back is a good save for Astrea. I actually think Astrea should have everything together, cannot afford to lose these Templar, and will not lose these Templar. Zealot plus Immortal will take care of them links. So that is nice, at least Baneling's now moving in forward. Gonna get some connections on these Zealots perhaps. Is Astrea gonna be quick enough? He's gonna end up losing all of these Immortals if he ain't careful. But at this point, even if he is careful, he's gonna lose all of them. He's gonna try to save him with the Archon Force. A couple more Templars moving in. Doesn't really want to charge in with Zealots there. Yeah, she's gonna lose a lot of crap. At the same time, more Banelings running in towards this right side base as well. As we're 18 minutes in the game, and now it's starting to feel like Astrea truly is dead. Here comes an attack at the same time, takes out another base. And Dark is just playing some sick StarCraft too, he honestly is. He's gonna throw down a Greater Spire as well. It's on a low worker count with all of this. 73 drones. Doesn't have a huge bank either. These Storms are big. These Storms are big. These Storms were big. They were. Really. These Links are gonna get caught as well, yeah. You see? Dark was planning on taking out the Darkons, then 1 or 2 Storms hit, and he's like, never mind, that's not possible anymore. That's not a viable plan whatsoever. And he has a very, very high link count. 92 links are out on the map. His army actually, this sounds weird to say, but his army legitimately sucks. His army is garbage tier. And if they get to fight within the next 25 to 30 seconds, that is to say pre-Brute Lord, I actually believe that Astrea has a decent chance of winning. And I think the correct course of action here is the base trade. Yeah. If you're Dark here, this army is going in, and this army is going in, and you're freaking base trading. However, Astrea kind of anticipated that. Has an army ready defensively. Can he recall to this base? No, he can't. He's gonna lose a lot of workers here if he ain't careful. Oh no, that sucks. Has killed a bunch of workers of his opponent as well. So the Brute Lord count now is gonna go from 0 to 6. And the difference between 0 and 6 couldn't be bigger. As that means that any type of Archon, pure Archon-based push has now kind of ended its relevancy. It's over for that type of push, that specific type of push. The reason for that is that once there are Brute Lords, Archons cannot move forward easily anymore. You're going to require very good army splits or Tempest, Blink Stalkers. Now, there might be one chance here, and that's the fact that the upgrades for the Archons are quite good. +2 shields, we have the +3 attack, and these Brute Lords have legitimately no upgrades at all, but I don't even think it's really going to matter. Here we see Astrea trying to do something. He's gonna lose a couple of these Templars here against the Queens if he ain't careful. Lost one already. Try to move in forward. Stalkers are being warped in right now, but only one at a time. We even have Blink. I think we do, right? Yeah, we have Blink. A relic from an earlier time. It's another Zergling run by here. Is attempting to go in, and it is barely not going to succeed. But with the Banelings, it's going to be capable of busting this wide open. This base is toast. This base isn't quite toast yet. This run by is actually going to be taking out a lot of workers, as well as potentially a bunch of Links. Good Storms, look at that. That's how you deal with Links. And that's also how you deal with Ravagers, by the way. And with Infestors and with Banelings. I'm not even sure how good of a trade this was for Dark, because he just lost a lot of workers. Sure, he took out this base, but he also lost a bunch of units. So many Links went down there. Doesn't feel like Astrea lost that much. Astrea's now going to move towards the bottom side, where there are a few drones ready. If these drones die, they don't get evacuated. That could be the end of Dark. He needs to evacuate these drones ASAP. Don't burrow them, evacuate. Yes, there we go. That's the correct call here, 100%. Oh, Viper just barely stays alive. This army is going to try to run back after killing that hatchery. Links on burrow. This base with 2 Archons and a Zealot warp in. No battery though. I feel like 1 battery would do so much for you there, Astrea. So much. Archons, oh my god, stays alive with 6 HP. 2 Ling hits away from dying. Throws down a cannon. I really think a battery here is huge when you're trying to defend with Archons. The split army is going to move towards the top side of the map once again. As Australia takes the bottom base. Both players on a low base count, as well as a low unit count, as well as a low worker count. Ultras are being mixed in, no spellcasters really whatsoever to speak of. Bard is, well, unless you count queens. And of course there's one Viper. No infestors. Infestors are absolutely key against these types of big gateway plays. Mixed in with the Immortals. Which is what we're seeing here. It's just what we're seeing. Pure gateway unit, a couple of Immortals in there to deal with potential Ultras. Ultras haven't split off from the army, which is a surprise. Seems like Dark is kind of calming down a bit on the run buys. Saying, hey, I don't really want to do that anymore. I swear I saw Ultras. No, did I make that up? No, okay, they're on the left. Yeah. So this is a good army split here for Australia. Because he has the exact army versus the exact army that Dark doesn't want. Right? Dark doesn't want to fight Ultras. Or Immortals with Ultras. He wants to fight Broodlords. He wants to fight Immortals with Brutes. This army doesn't actually look so strong. There's 4 Immortals. I think this is just a win here for Australia. This particular fight, that is, not the game. As Australia's going to give up this base temporarily. Walk away with these probes. To try and go for a full-on base trading move. Gets a couple of good zoning storms in. Almost takes out an Immortal there. As now he's trying to flank these Ravagers. Potentially could go for it. Here comes the army. Here comes the fight. Immortals moving in as well. This army indeed is just getting flanked. As the first Immortal goes down. Or sorry, the first Ultra goes down. Broodlord's coming in from the back though. Do we have a recall available? I'm not so sure if we do. A couple of storms will need to land here. Even if it's just for zoning purposes. Yes, an Archon goes down, a couple of Templars will fall, and a Ling run by behind this. Oh, an interesting recall. It's gonna stop these Lings from doing very much. Gold base, by the way, still hasn't been mined from. That might be a key base later on in the game, but for now Australia is going to pivot towards the top side of the map, saying, hey, I have full control of this side of the map, you don't. So guess what? That's where I want to be with my mining, and that makes a lot of sense. As this now is being cleared, there's not enough storms to deal with this. If there were 3-4 storms here, I think he could. I actually think he could. But all of the Templar are with the energy are on the top side on the map right now. These bad boys don't quite have the energy. It's missing 4 or 5. Archon Immortal Storm Army moving towards the 9 o'clock base. Both players expanding on different parts of the map here. The Brood count is just right. Oh, what's the Brood count actually? 12. 12 Broodlords. With 3 more on the way. It's going to go up to 15. I mean, those are Broodlord numbers where A, it becomes really difficult to start splitting your army successfully. And B, if any amount of Tempest ever hit the field, you're going to be in serious trouble. Because that's a lot of freaking Broodlords. In general, Dark's army is just huge all around. Something we shouldn't forget. And I love the natural tendency of Dark, the base trade. I think that is so freaking good. Like, whenever he sees an opportunity, sending in counterattacks, he's sending in like semi-base trades, either with half his army or his entire army. Now he's going to continue chasing this ground force. That's going to do well. Ultras at the same time also doing relatively well here. Going to smash a couple of these Stalkers to bits. 19 probes have fallen. That brings the total amount of workers lost at 136. That is an insane amount of workers to lose. As these Ravagers still chilling in the back. Nexus is about to finish up, but with only 25 workers, I don't think it matters very much. Can barely saturate a single base. Broodlords on the left also kiting back home. We have a Broodlord split. It's very rare to see Broodlord splits. You never have enough Brutes to really do that. It's so scary as well against Stalkers. But the Stalker count isn't high enough. The Gateway unit count isn't high enough. Broodlords now coming back towards the middle. As Dark, I think, here is... yeah, he's doing a phenomenal job. He's actually doing a phenomenal job. His movement is... is just so sick. His ability to understand what needs to be done in a game. And he's not playing a perfect late game here. I actually think army composition-wise, Dark has played this out kind of in a poor way. But it doesn't matter because his movement is so good. Like, I think Serral has the best late game in ZVP in the world when it comes to these very stable, static situations. But the thing is that Dark doesn't play stable, static situations. He is always moving in. He's always killing stuff. If you get 7 cannons and batteries and walls at your bases, Serral is by far the best. But if that isn't the case, Dark is a good contender to be the best ZVP, a late gamer, in non-stable situations. Like, his movement is so sick. He's running around with many groups. His ability to keep units alive. I actually wonder what the resources lost is here. He's down in resources lost. Phenomenal. Insane. We're going into a base trade, but this is a base trade that will not succeed here for Australia. He's going to lose a bunch of these Archons. At least one. Maybe 2. No, it's just going to be 1. This army is going to end up falling as well. As we still have the brutes chasing. We have loads of roaches. You know, weird looking flank. Actually going to take out a couple of these Ravagers. Yeah, the game is pretty much over, I think, at this point. We have no mining for Australia. He has some long distance mining, that's it. We still have an entire base of mining here for Dark. He's going to have access to this one as well later on. So, Australia is just dead in my mind. I mean, he has 5 Archons and 4 Stalkers. Dark has 18 Brood Lords. And I love that Dark says, you know what, buddy? Let's just fight in the middle of the map. I'm not even gonna wait. I don't have time for this. I have bigger things to play. GG gets called. Dark wins the game, wins the series. A good series, a fun series. A series with interesting strategies, different types of play. I really appreciate this type of stuff. I think it's just cool to see overall, at least in my mind. I find this type of stuff really cool to see. Like, just freaking triple Nexus, Nexus first, proxy Stargate into like a proxy gate. Australia has a different mind. I wanna watch more of his games. I feel like very often when you watch Protoss players, you're kind of exposed to the same thing you're doing, or the same thing that I'm doing, just better, or with like a small difference. Australia just plays a different game, and I think there are tricks and there are little things in there that have a lot of potential that are not being utilized at the highest level, except for when Australia does it. And I love that he can just go into like actual macro games as well after. It's not just the gimmick. He has a gimmick or like something different that he believes works, and then often it works. And then he has a late game as well that he understands. So yeah, phenomenal series. Actually great. Loved watching this. Thanks for watching. And if you did enjoy it as well, don't forget to like button, subscribe to the channel. I'll see all of you next time. Thank you so much, and bye-bye.